Welcome back. It's been a heavy lunch. Anyway, we'll get back to intervention. We've just put down a broad range from 3 to 7 years of age. And these are the complaints which usually come to us. Okay. Withdrawn social behavior. Current. Let's restart. Reading. No, the projector is not on. Yeah, the usual complaints would be withdrawn social behavior, delayed language, in that more of immediate echolalia, gross and fine motor incoordination, poor attention and concentration, feeding issues, behavioral issues. This is generally the complaints that we actually get. What we basically do is, in our therapy, the module which we follow at therapy is, we follow the Piagetian principles. We look into perception of the child. How much of meaning he is giving to the sensation that the child is getting. We look at the sensory processing. How is the child actually processing the information? The sensory reorganization. How is he able to assimilate the new information? Sensory exploration. It is active rather than a passive learning approach. This is the approach that we use. Perceptual development permits the development of symbolic representational systems. We usually do this by just asking them to draw a boy or draw a girl. Something very simple. Okay, that's it, body image. Me as a self. That is very important in children. Okay, it is used as an actually personality as well as an IQ test also. You have standardized norms for it. Just drawing the self. Symbolic function, it includes all mental behavior concerned with aspects of reality that are not immediately present. Basically, we would do a lot of drawings with the children. Language differs from other forms of symbolic functioning because it is a social communication system rather than an isolated internal system such as imagery. When I tell you draw a chair, okay, draw a chair, try it out, draw a chair. Draw chair. This chair you can draw. It's getting tough. Some are looking this side and that side. Draw a chair, draw a table. See, the representations are so different. Okay, each one is drawn it actually differently. After the class you can just see. Okay, but some things are very easy and it is very easy to understand. For example, draw sun. S-U-N, sun. That was a some full, some half. You know, it depends. So how that mental imagery is, that's how it is. Okay? So it's different for different people. So that's what we are talking about, that internal thing as imagery. How I see it and how I represent it is different. Because drawing is a 3D representation of what you see. So there is a difference in it.
When we talk about behavior concerned with aspects of reality that are not immediately present, we talk about decontextualized language. There's no, in the immediate environment or the context, that thing is not there. Still the child should be able to refer to it. Reference also, not even imagination. Refer to that. So that's when we know the language development is getting, complex and better.
I think that's what she's spoken about, the 2 points right now. It is a social system as the end result of communicative, cognitive, social and imitative development. Language is a symbolic function, represents the child's reality, the child's experiences. That is the first part which we look into is the sensation. The next part which we look into when we are into the training, what we look into is, we have Keffart's perceptual training approach which is there. Keffart is the individual who has given us that gross motor coordination is very important for language development. Okay, so he is given two assumptions. The two assumptions are visual motor abilities are essential in development and in cognitive development and academic success. So this is something which you will have to look into. When a child is not writing, okay, when a child is not drawing, when a child is not imitating, you will have to get back to this particular assumption. Visual motor abilities. What are visual motor abilities? That's exactly what each one is doing right now. Writing. Okay. Visual, another part of the brain is doing. Motor execution, another part of the brain is doing. Both are coordinating. You're able to write. You're able to see and you're able to write. Okay. So that's basically the entire thing which is there. For example, we usually do this when we're doing perception. What is this? You have given meaning to the sensation, but your brain has only taken in it like this, different pieces. Okay, that's how the visual has gone into it. That's how the brain has processed it, but given it a circle. That's it, whole picture which you actually get. These visual motor processes are trainable. You can actually train them. That's when you have those reversals which is there. Okay, most of them will see this, isn't it, when you're working? All these kind of reversals, these are trainable. It's very trainable which is there. Yeah. Concept formation. It's dependent on the manipulation of perceptual data that rest on the development of basic motor patterns which are there. Posture, the way you stand. Okay, laterality is whether you are right-handed or whether you are left-handed, and directionality, where you are going to start off writing. All this will lead to the body image. When I ask the child to draw something as simple as, give him a white sheet of paper and ask him to just say if it's a girl, draw a girl, if it's a boy, draw. From where the child starts off. Because on a plain paper, we are taught on the left-hand side you will have to write, start from the side which is there. When you're actually working with children with difficulties, they do not understand that entire concept. Okay, from anywhere in the page they will start writing. They don't know where it starts, where it ends. Reading is from left to right. Some of them leave it out. Okay, so the various tests which actually assess there. Tactile, kinesthetic, visual and auditory information received from the developing perceptual systems are compared with existing motor information and result in a perceptual motor match. That's basically what you did in a perceptual motor match. This was already existing. This perception was already existing. The minute I actually drew all this, it went back to that perceptual motor match. It's matching with that circle, so this is a circle. Did you understand? That's how you actually relate it to. Faulty perceptual motor match leads to sensory integration problems. Okay, when you're not able to match it, when children are not able to copy it. Okay, by 6 years of age, most of them should be actually able to draw circle, square and triangle perfectly. Okay, by 7 years of age, diamond should come in. Okay, what we see with a lot of children when we give them this diamond, they just have to copy a diamond. Okay, just a simple diamond, you'll have it like this. They don't have that perceptual match. Where it stops, where it doesn't stop, that's a normative thing. Circle, square, triangle, 5 years of age, all children should be able to copy it. Diamond, by 7 years of age, still not able to do it, you know that visual motor skills are very poor. Copying becomes a problem. Reversals will start coming. They will never copy from the board. They find it very difficult to copy from the board. What is different? They will not know what is different there. So reading becomes a problem. If the B and the D looks the same, they are not going to read the word correctly. It will become amb, it will not become and. Okay, so that constant errors would be there with the children. Auditory processing abilities. Informal training, you have the top-down or the bottom-up approach depending on the individual child, which will be doing in detail. Very easy to identify with children.
Generally in preschoolers, if they come to us with a problem, nowadays we see that there is a group of children who come with unclear speech, poor attention, poor fine motor abilities. All of them, generally they also tend to have an auditory processing problem, because they are able to hear but not able to process what they have heard. So the auditory processing is the only channel, the auditory channel is the only way through which a lot of verbal information is processed. So when they have problems with that, they do also have unclear speech. So it reflects on their speech as well as in the future in their reading and writing. So what we do, either a top-down or a bottom-up approach, depending on the individual child. Means if the child is able to speak a little bit, not very shy, or just comes out with few sentences and all, we directly start off with the top-down approach, where we give pictures, stories for narration, target, and slowly we pace it. Like if the child is saying stories, then we say, okay, now for each word we are going to tap. So at least that sense, the temporal, that spacing comes in. Like that we slowly get into word level, then we get slowly into phonemes. In a bottom-up approach, what we do, we start teaching the phonics. What each letter stands for, and slowly then the phonemes together make the syllable, then the syllables together make the word, then we put words together to make sentences, then we go to stories. So it's the opposite ways. Most often in therapy, we do a combination of both. We start off with something, slowly introduce some other approach also, and use both in coordination. So in a top-down approach, the priority is on signal comprehension, and we go from whole to part. We focus on the input, and this more or less is the semantic knowledge, is the content which we are focusing here on. In a bottom-up approach, it's more of the focus is on the signal production, okay, and it's part to whole, and it's focus on output, the clarity of speech or whatever. Then it's more of the acoustic knowledge, that is nothing but the auditory thing, how each speech sound sounds like, how it is different from the other. So that is the focus here. So these both are used in combination in a therapy.
And there's a very simple way of assessing it, because you get 3-year-old children, you can just ask them to repeat numbers. Even rhymes is a very good way of checking actually. Rhymes.
And automatize things like days of the week.
Months of the year, all that, no? But numbers is very easy to actually have a cross check which is there. For example, we'll just tell you a string of numbers and you'll have to just write it down. Okay? Ready? 4, 7, 6, 2, 1.
No, we are not repeating.
We won't repeat. Okay? So you'll have to be very alert. Okay? That alertness is what we're looking at. So there is a thing. For 3-year-old children, it's 2 numbers that we repeat. 2, 1, repeat, 2, 1. So when it's 4-year-old, 1 more is added. Okay? Like that it goes on. By the time the child is around 6 or 7 years of age, what we do is we check for mental control. Mental control is that balance which is there, which is very much required when you're doing addition. Okay, because you can't use your fingers all throughout for that carryover and that subtraction. Okay, so we just tell the 1, 6, 7. What you hear, you have to tell me in the reverse order, from backwards, counting backwards. Okay, so these are the kind of auditory things. That is at the number level, basic level. If you want to check on the language or how is that phonological processing, we just tell them to repeat, nice kitty. And they repeat, nice kitty. They are standardized sentences which is there. Oh, he can. She ran, he came. Then we get on to bigger sentences. When the train comes, you will hear the whistle blow. So the child has to repeat that entire sentence. Okay, so it depends on the number of words that is coming out in a sequence. Most often what we get the last word, blow. A clear indicator that auditory attention is 0.
And most of these children with auditory processing problems or phonological processing, it leads to phonological processing problems. They don't have the ability to say rhymes. They will avoid. Even if they say, it's very unclear. Through rhymes, you can categorize the types of auditory processing disorder. Tintal, tintal, itte, tar, it will go on like that for twinkle, twinkle, you know. Some of them won't say also. Some of them will miss one whole line. Some of them will say only the last.
Oh,
So it depends.
even you have your PT thing, which is a simple thing. How many claps? 2 claps. You can actually try that out with the
Imitate
children
that.
to see. Imitate that particular thing. Or tap and ask them, how much did you hear? Okay, so they are following that entire thing which is there.
That,
Not even that word thing. But
and then Simon Says, those games and all. No, these are all
Yeah,
for auditory
auditory.
attention. Or we also look into this repetition, like certain syllables we have, like pa 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 pa, continuously say that is the speed with which he can coordinate with the same articulator. Then ta 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 ta, ka 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 ka. Now pa is a front sound, ta is a middle sound, ka is a back sound. Now we say all three together. Pa ta ka pa ta ka pa ta ka pa ta ka. The precision with which he is able to say, move from one articulator to the next, one place to the other, how the transition is happening. Most of them are not able to say that. Pakata, pakata, patata, takata, pakaka, they go on. Pa, ta, ka, front, middle, back. That's a very good way to check these children, that coordination.
or in preschoolers, like you'll have dance, are they following rhythm? Are they following the tap? Those are the kind of things which you'll have to just look into for to identify auditory processing deficits.
This is a picture. I think it's not very clear to them. But the resolution. So I'll just tell you, this is the automatic level and this is the representational level. Automatic level is that overlearned and practiced things which is already there in your thing, like days of the week and all. You don't even have to think about it. Or 1, 2, 3 till 10. It just comes automatically to, or prayers, shlokas, which you have overlearned it. Okay? And this is the representational level. So here we have both the visual and auditory skills. Visual closure, visual memory, auditory closure. All these are working together. These are the component skills of auditory and visual skills, okay? All these are leading to visual reception or auditory reception, visual association, auditory association, and then the expression, relevant expression for that. So in order for expression to happen, so much of processing has to take place underneath. Okay?
These are some of the visual closure activities we give them. You have to complete this particular pattern based on this. So it's a triangle. So different places you just stop it and then they have to keep on finishing it, which is not there. If I put a line this side, it becomes a triangle, this side, this side. So this is basically the visual closure activities which we do. From basic shapes, you can go on to animals. Something which is not there, you have to complete the picture. If a child is able to do it without help of the 2, 3 things, it's good. Otherwise, it's an indicator that yes, there's a lot of writing deficit. Perceptual motor is actually affected. For visual sequencing memory, what basically we do is, we have the same set of cards. memory which is there. So what we do is for checking what comes before Thursday, what comes before me. Okay, those are the visual sequencing things which is there because it's a set factor. Auditory. Next slide, I think. Stimulus, and this is the processing of the memory and attention and all, and what meaning is made out of it. Role of parents. Okay, where would you bring your parents into the entire picture? Okay. You have to tell the parents the importance of careful observation of play behavior. You have noticed a particular behavior in the school. Okay, call the parents individually, not in front of any other parent, or any other parent should not know that you've called this particular parent, because it goes on. Why only that parent? My child they have not spoken to. Okay, if you're given the opportunity, you have to actually call that parent and you have to tell them separately that this is exactly what we have observed here. Please observe it outside. Observe it for at least a week or so and then get back to me. Is it there? Is this behavior present everywhere or only in the school? Handling temper tantrums. Everybody goes through that.
In my class, I had some children who got something instantly. They would remove their zip and then they would go around showing it up. How do you handle? I don't know. I just find it very.
It is very difficult to handle the thing. That's when we'll have to pull the parents. You'll always have to pull the parents in it. To a certain extent, you'll have to ignore the behavior. The more you show about it, and then talk to the parents about it. These are kind of things which you'll have to check out what happens at home. Because we really don't know what happens. The child is not able to tell. So you'll have to talk to the parents about these kind of things which is there. The other thing is handling temper tantrums. Okay, your own children, your school children, everywhere it is a temper tantrums, which is normal till around 3.5 years of age. It's normal. Having temper tantrums, it's normal. It's their way of dealing with the issue and it's our way of handling the child when your disciplining strategies are actually coming in. If you go back to that effective teacher training strategies, if you put a routine and your rules are clear, you will never have tantrums. Okay, and when a child is in a tantrum, leave the child. Don't bother. The more you talk to the child, it's like a reinforcement. The child will want to actually show more of it. So just leave it. If he's crying, let him cry. That's what we basically do. Because we have a therapy program where we have it purely for behavior disordered children. It's known as behavior therapy itself. When they come in there, they come in biting or crying or something. We say, you come in, please sit down here and cry. Or you walk around this particular room and cry. We never tell them stop crying. We never tell them crying. And I didn't know it was so effective because now a child is coming to her language therapy and he apparently saw me there. He used to come for behavior therapy when he was small. Very difficult child. Now he's 9. He's in a regular school. A little bit of deficits in maths, especially the language of maths. Does not understand the concept of maths. So he saw me there and he just told me, you're here also. I said, why I can't be here? Ma'am, I'm so scared of you. I said, my man, what did I do to you? No, when I was small, I remember. How small you were? When I was 4 years, I remember, ma'am. And he's telling her the entire thing. I went crying. When I was crying so much, I removed my shirt also. And I was crying that I should not enter inside this class later. Ma'am allowed me to cry. She never told me, don't cry, don't cry. He stopped crying. And after that he settled in therapy. It was complete settled in therapy and he still remembers that. So I said, so what did you understand from that? We can't play fool with you, ma'am. I am crying. I removed my shirt also and I cried and you did not respond.
You didn't do
anything.
That affected him more. That hurt him so much.
So it's like, that's the amount of reinforcement the children do. That's a tantrum they can get into. So best is ignore. I'll have children when if you come, only on the first floor of the institute. If you'll come in, you'll have a nice thing. You'll have all these pradashanams happening there. They'll be rolling on the floor. They'll be rolling. I said, roll. Once you finish rolling and you're tired, please come back and sit in your place. So the minute they hear the rustle of the sari, they are there in the places, because I don't get bothered. And I really didn't know till this boy actually told me. I removed my shirt. In fact, he tore his shirt. He removed his shirt and still did not look at me. Okay, sometimes you'll have to, just not bother. So that impact is there on the child, that, you can only work with this, you cannot go with this. But still, you will have to maintain that friendly behavior which is there. You will have to train the parents on handling this. Because as mothers, we become very emotionally tied to our children. Okay? To leave that emotion and then not do it, it's very difficult. It gets difficult. Yeah, but holding the tantrum back and disciplining your child becomes more important. Don't cry in front of your own child. That immediately shows your weakness which is there. You have to be strict at times. There's no option. Absolutely no option. If not, the world will get back to you that you're the worst mother. How to communicate with children, obtain knowledge about the stages of language development, and provide adequate speech stimulation. This is basically what we do with the parents who come to us. This is how we actually start training them upon. Modifying feeding habits, including weaning feeding bottle. We have 6 years who are still on feeding bottle. Introduction of food of various consistencies, texture and temperament. And setting up feeding routine. Feeding routine is very important. Okay, because most of them do not know what you mean by a breakfast. Okay, that is the time of the day, orientation in time, space, which is very important for mental control of what we know. What we do in the clinical setup is that mental status examination. The status of the client in that particular time. If I ask you what day is it now, you should be able to tell me what time of the day is it. Is it morning or afternoon? Okay, is it evening? Is it late noon? These are words which is there. And based on the time of the day, you have various activities which are arranged. Okay, so that orientation in time and space has to actually come in. So for that, you have to teach them a feeding routine. What is eaten for breakfast? What is eaten for lunch? And what is eaten for dinner? What is eaten for snack times? Okay, some families and some parents have cornflakes all throughout the day, or noodles all throughout the day. The routines are not established. Family and marital counseling done as and when required. That's something which is a part of the thing. Schooling issues were addressed. We address even the schooling issues. There are certain places where we go sit with the child in the school or with the teacher to actually get the feel of how do you handle this particular child. Yeah, these are the some of the assessments that we use for attention. It is pretty easy which is there. I think we have to pull the table. It's basically to assess cognition, attention, as well as visuospatial memory which is there. Okay, that working memory, that execution memory which is there. Okay, so how will we do it? Bruno, you'll have to do it. Yeah. So what we do is basically it's that imitation which is there. What we tell the client is that you'll have to just see whatever I am doing. If the client is left-handed, start from the left. If it is right-handed, start from the right which is there. They just have to follow this particular pattern. This is how we keep going on. There are different levels which is there. Okay? We see. Anybody wants to try? Someone can come to try. Okay, come Padma. Sit down, sit down. Otherwise they'll not, they can't see. Attention, pay attention. No, wrong. Okay, so that's the amount of concentration. Attention is just paying attention to that particular thing. Sustained attention, when you keep it for some time, that is known as concentration. Okay, so this is at the executive level. This is where the working memory is actually taking place. Here is the imitation taking place. This is at the non-verbal level. By 4 years of age, most of the children have to get this. 4 years, at least one pattern they have to get it correctly by 4 years of age. Okay, otherwise there is an indication, yes, this child is not going to actually improve, which is there, that imitation, that sustained concentration and that memory, that working memory which is there.
We have to give a lot of activities to enhance attention.
Lot of activities are there for enhancing this kind of an attention, which is a repetitive thing. The next one which we are looking into is BGT. BGT is nothing but a Bender-Gestalt test. It's more a perceptual motor test. Rules out a lot of neuropsychological thing. If there is a brain damage, you easily get to identify in children to refer for a detailed neurological evaluation. There are a set of 9 cards which are there. Simple geometrical figures. You give a plain piece of paper to the child and with an arrow mark which is there, and just tell the child, I'm going to show you 9 drawings. We tell the number of drawings because we want to know the organization the child has. Okay, and we give each and every picture to the child individually. The pictures are very simple. You can see from there. So that's some of the pictures which is there. Simple pictures which are there. 9 drawings, the child has to just copy the same thing which is there. To rule out a lot of this writing difficulties. Children with that motor coordination and visual motor deficits will have problems in this. No, these are standardized pictures. These are standardized test norms which are there. We are just giving you an introduction because these would be the kind of things which we do usually to get an idea that there are developmental tests. So you all are more equipped with the knowledge when you are talking to parents. Sometimes it becomes important that even you use all these particular words which is there. So that you know your simple drawings which is there, and based on that you have certain checks which is there. Okay, if you draw something to the child and the child is actually doing the ulta of it, is an indication that this child is not actually processing it properly. Okay, not the alphabets which I am talking, simple shapes. Okay, simple shapes when you are drawing, the child actually starts drawing it ulta. There is a huge thing of rotation. Okay, anything you start, the child will reverse it. You have some children, when we do this particular task, when we do it from right to left, they will do it in the reverse order. No matter what you do, they are reversing. So that's itself an indication that the perceptual motor is not actually very, very clear in them.
But ma'am, what about the alphabets and the numbers? You have writing through the regular way.
That is okay till around 7 years of age. 7 years of age. The next is auditory and phonological processing.
That we've already briefly spoken to you about. Phonological processing, the first indicator I told you, in the kindergarten age, they are supposed to do rhyming very well. So when they're not able to do rhymes, then you know that there's some underlying deficit there. Either it will be unclear or they refuse to do it. So phonological processing, we check through rhyming in preschoolers. Otherwise, when phonetics is introduced to them, we just ask them what sound. When I say dog, what is the first sound you hear? D. When I say ball, what do you hear? B. So like that. And then tapping. Like if I say butterfly, I want you to tap for every syllable. Butterfly. Helicopter. Water bottle. These are all indications that, there is, the child has a concept of the temporal orientation, like, temporal skills, where to put the break. Like, sometimes you would have seen children saying rhymes, the whole word will not be complete. half the word, and then the next half and the next word will be together. So these children are the ones who don't have a very good phonological processing skill. So they're not able to demarcate between the words. Okay, so these are all the at-risk category for reading disability. They will end up having a lot of spelling error. And expressive language, either you can check it through their narrative skills by asking them to say a story or show a book, a story book, picture book, and tell a story out of that, or ask them what happened the whole day since morning, or you can check their vocabulary. There are standardized tests for that to check the expressive vocabulary. There are a lot of tests for testing the language. You can even say receptive language, expressive language, what level they are in, which age they are. They may be 6 years old, but their expressive language will be only at a 4.5-year-old level, something like that. So there are tests for that. And oromotor skills, you can have a detailed, you can get an idea as a teacher by looking at their different structures. Ask them to open their mouth, put out the tongue, lift it up, touch here, left to right movement, whether they're able to do it quickly. Some of them, instead of moving the tongue, they will move the head. These kind of things you will see. And see for any abnormality, like when they stick out the tongue, are you able to see the W shape? If you're seeing that, then they have a tongue tie. Or missing teeth are there, or if there is any cleft palate or lip, that will be very obvious actually, that you need not worry. And you can ask them to do things like puff up the cheeks. Sometimes they're not able to put that pressure, so they will not be able to speak clearly, those kind of children. You can ask them to blow a candle, ask the parent whether he is able to suck through a straw. All oromotor things you'll have to see. Okay? Yeah.
One more test that we actually use. till 4.5 to 5 years of age, it's okay. 3.5, 4, they actually pick up the pencil to start writing. By 3 years, a circle is formed. By the 3rd birthday, the child has to draw a circle. That's an indication of good cognitive ability. No, not proper grip. No proper grip at all. You can hold like this also and draw. Slowly, they will actually pick it up. When you force something on somebody, you will resist that work. Even we are like that. Human beings are made like that. So don't force it. Let's enjoy and do the entire thing which is there.
If he's not able to hold it, then give some other activity that he's got. Even crayon, putting the pay.
Give him more bigger ones.
Crayon, even that has right. I can hold it this way also. Even chalk,
Hold it like that. So you can just tell him to let's put it like this and draw. Slowly they will learn. With practice they will learn. By 4.5, 5 they are still not able to do it. Then you will have to actually start working a lot on the child.
Somebody is doing some ridiculous things like doing like this always, doing something like, if we keep on saying something, we tend to do the same thing, like, or do you want us to change that?
I did not understand.
Don't do this children.
Huh.
Keep pointing out, don't do that. Don't do
No, no. See, children, by
some max.
from 2.5 to around 3.5, there is a lot of gross motor movements which are taking place. From the spinal cord level, activity centers are going to the brain. So there will be heightened fidgetivity which is seen. The children will be fidgetive. Okay, like not sitting in the place, moving around like this. And it will be more higher in boys rather than when it's in girls. So it's a part of growing which is there. So you just have to learn to ignore it which is there. That's why you have a lot of play which is given to them. They'll have a very rough and tough play which they have to actually do. So because that energy is somewhere else.
Some behavior programs also, like doing something with their nose, doing something with their hands. Like,
Either they are bored or it could be that someone in the family must be doing it and they're imitating it.
so that do you want us to say, don't do like that, it's not proper like that, or
If it's disturbing
not repeat that, or else they'll do it.
more and more.
Yeah.
If it is actually disturbing you in the classroom setup, then you will have to tell them, please don't do it. Otherwise, you'll have to just tell them in a different way, can you please fold your hands? Can we lock our hands together? Instead of telling, don't do that, you can just tell them, it's like, fold your hands, lock your fingers, can we do that later? Okay, all those kind of things is what we use. We finished on time for you. Doubts that you'll have? See, because I know there is too much of information that is given. Okay?
Tomorrow they will come.
So when you have to go back and actually see your children and then you have to rethink. Because each child is different. Each time you are working with this child, this model doesn't work. You have to use this particular model. Because it's so different. Children are so unique, so different. Which
what we are teaching, anything, first they are fighting.
she told, both of them need the same material.
But they are not doing anything. They are seeing others.
Hmm.
What they are doing. What they are doing. They say, they want to fight. They don't. Both are same.
See, you will have to you will have to actually have them placed in front of you. Okay, sometimes what we do, so we tell them to either sit in front or next to the teacher, or to the left of the teacher, or to the right of the teacher, depending upon the angle in which they can do.
They are not concentrating.
If they are around 3 or 4, 3.5, it will be quite common.
When I am asking what is this, I am pointing one. He is telling A. Or C. Correct. Attention seeking.
Could be attention seeking or nobody not working at home at all. Maybe not working at home. That's when the family has to actually come in. Not working at home. Not that focused thing is not there.
Saying any language. And in parent teacher meeting, his mother came. She told one day he was telling Not fully, but 2 or 3 lines. Is not telling us.
So the mother's happy small development. That itself tells you, that no time for the child. She doesn't even know what's happening, isn't it? There's no time for the child basically. So that family thing makes a lot of difference. See, because for us what happens is, we are trained in such a way, from the time the family enters inside inside your cabin, from the time they sit to what they talk, we actually start observing. Because we are so trained in that body language which is there, we pick up those vibes so fast and we get an idea about the family there. We get an idea of the family. So for you all it becomes a little more difficult, because that's a kind of rigorous training we've had. From the time they come in, the time they sit, from the time the father and the mother sits, we get an idea. Who's in charge, who takes place, who's the decision maker, what happens, who's going to contribute to your therapy, who's going to be the irritating factor in the therapy. Everything we pick up from that one particular 45-minute session we have, that's all. That's all what we have to work with the client which is there. And then we get the immediate picture. So that requires a lot of rigorous training which is there. Don't interact much with the parents which is there. That kind of an observational skill. Unless and until you get into the field of working with special needs children. In a regular school children, because things are happening nicely, the children are learning, one doesn't learn also, it's okay. But over here for us, if one doesn't learn also, it's a major issue. Why isn't this child not improving? Tomorrow we'll be talking a lot on the planning. How do you actually start integrating? If you have a special needs child, what to do? How is the referral system? What are the different strategies that you can use for building attention, speech? Using the same old material which is there. We don't use any hi-fi material because we work with a lot of the lower middle class and the middle class families. Everybody can't afford to buy materials which is there. What is there in the house? We use bindis also for attention and concentration. Cloth clips we use. We use bindis. So much of bindis we buy. Rubber bands we use.
Marble.
Some crazy items that we actually start using. We use chenna, we use dal, we use all kinds of things for attention building. I had one of my parents asking me, why are you buying so many bindis? Because she comes from that KR market. And we said we are using it for attention and concentration. Whatever is found indigenously, you will have to start supplying it. Anything which is there, we start using it as a therapy material. But you should not lose focus on the concept of what you're working.
What goal you have?
And your theory behind it. Both of us believe in the Piaget theory which is there of cognitive development. Because that's one of the major premises for curriculum development. It is used by most of the countries for curriculum development. So that's the theory which we've actually picked up and we started working on it. You believe in what you're doing, you can actually make a difference. You don't believe in what you're doing, you will not understand what's happening. It's very simple. That's all what it is. So tomorrow it will be more focus on that. A lot of counseling and all that. Because counseling parents means you yourselves have to go through the counseling process. Otherwise you will not understand what it is. Because when you break down, I remember when I was doing my counseling sessions, we also broke down. We never knew we had so much of emotional issues. Because you tend to break down also when the parent breaks down, what are you supposed to do? Definitely you can't cry with the parent. Okay, you cannot cry with the parent. Okay, so what are you supposed to be doing? How does it take place? Okay, where do you touch? All that becomes very important. Okay, so that's tomorrow's focus which is there. Okay?
Plan.
Yeah, how do you write the plan? How do you implement the plan? Who is a part of the plan? Who is the part of the plan? That's the entire thing. That's tomorrow's focus of the thing. Thank you.
Thank you.